let's examine how he looked when he first began. 2016, I'm gonna look like David Lade. He trains harder than last time, and 8 years later, this is his result. And so we got a guy, he's been training harder than last time, and he's been doing so for 7 years. He began training, he was 16, he's currently 23. And so we have a ton of people writing in the comments, basically saying he doesn't know what he's doing, making fun of him, saying he has the worst physique ever. But the reality is this. I've looked at his physique, I've examined his starting point, and based on his genetics, he's doing exceptionally well. He's not on performance-enhancing drugs, although he jokes that he is. He's not. The guy's been training natural. And so unfortunately, so many people have been brainwashed to think that if you've been training for 7 years, that you're probably going to look like Coach Greg, or at the very least, Alex Eubank, Jesse James West, or Will Tennyson. But the harsh reality is this. These physiques that you know of are because they're in the top 1% of the top 1%. They have elite level genetics. Oh my goodness, they do not. Will Tennyson's physique is mid. Are you kidding me? Is he not a famous fitness influencer? Think of it. If you're famous for being a fitness influencer, chances are you probably look pretty good. And so as we examine his physique, he probably has close to 20% body fat. He's certainly not obese, but does appear to be a little bit overweight. He doesn't have a lot of muscle. His chest is not well formed, and he doesn't have a clearly defined six-pack, although he does have some ab development. You can see the top two abs, a little bit obliques, and so on. His arms don't have vascularity, and he appears to be a little bit soft. However, let's examine how he looked when he first began. 2016, I'm gonna look like David Lade. And so in the before photo, perhaps he has aspirations to be a fitness model. He watched David Lade, it could have been Jeff Side, it could have been anybody. He trains harder than last time, and 8 years later, this is his result. Many people, for example, a guy like Alex Mendoza is going to say, well, if you don't have a chiseled six-pack, if you don't look amazing after training for that many years, you clearly didn't train right.
Look, I'm going to be honest here. If you look like that after 10 years of training, you're doing something wrong, and I say that with love, man.
It's because you had a poor program and that you simply don't know what you're doing. And so when you look at guys who make before and after transformations, and they did so while being enhanced, you're going to have unrealistic expectations of what you yourself can achieve. And so why am I so against this? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you expect to have an amazing transformation and you don't have one, you're either going to get discouraged, likely not go to the gym, or you're going to decide to use steroids yourself. And even if you do stick it out and go to the gym, you're going to be subject to a barrage of comments from other people making fun of you and saying you're not training hard enough. Yeah, might be time for a testosterone test. Response: nah, he's in the norm range. Shitty genetics is all. And if you saw his starting point, you would see this is normal. This is what many people are going to look like. I'd like to consider that there's 5 categories of people for genetics. You got your guys who have elite or amazing level genetics. They go to the gym, they look at weight, and they put on a ton of muscle. This guy, he doesn't have that. Then there are guys with above average genetics. They're not going to be the next David Lade, but they're certainly going to put on a bunch of muscle. Then you have guys with average genetics who still going to gain muscle, not too bad, but they definitely have to put in more work. Then there are guys with below average genetics, and so they have to train really hard just to look average, and at best probably going to look slightly above average. Then you got guys with shit genetics. They go to the gym for 10 years, they train, and you can't even tell that they work out. Guys with elite level genetics have a better physique than they do without even training. And so what does this guy have? He has below average or shit genetics. And so this is the best he can do without using performance enhancing drugs. And frankly, even with steroids, he's never going to look like he has an amazing physique. Bro, respectfully, are you taking estrogen? And so think of it. Many of the comments are saying, oh, he must have below normal levels of testosterone. Clearly, there's no way his results could be this bad. He needs to go get checked out. I'm not saying he shouldn't get checked out just in case, but I am saying that this is 100% normal. Just because you have a physique like this after 7 or 8 years of training doesn't mean you have lower levels of testosterone than your grandma. Not to mention, do you guys not notice the body hair? When you have very low levels of testosterone, probably not going to grow a beard. You know the difference between men and women? One of the reasons men have beards and women don't, the testosterone. Did you think about these things? And then when women use steroids or when they transition into men, you give them testosterone and then they grow facial hair. And so if you're growing facial hair, you have a hairy body, probably have normal levels of testosterone. Do you track your calories and train to failure each muscle on 10 to 20 sets and 6 to 20 reps consistently? Do you track your calories? Does he need to? Let's say the answer is no. The guy is a little bit overweight. Clearly, he's eating enough calories. What, if he tracked his calories, he would suddenly, instead of having body fat, it would all be muscle? It's not how it works. Calories in, calories out. If you eat in a surplus, you gain weight. If you eat in a deficit, you lose weight. If he ate a greater surplus, what would happen is he would get fatter. He would have 30% body fat. If he ate fewer calories, he would be leaner. And so if you're suggesting he tracks calories so that he can eat in deficit to get a six-pack, well, that to me would make sense. Next, it says train to failure each muscle 10 to 20 sets. Many science-based lifters have said you don't need to go to failure. As long as you're training within 1 to 3 reps of failure, then you're going to put on muscle. Now, I'm not saying that to me that's the best advice. If you're a beginner, I don't think you should train to failure. But to say you have to train to failure in every set for 10 to 20 sets a week, to me, that is a lot. Even Jeff Nippard only now has been training to failure on his final sets for each body part. And so don't assume that just because he doesn't look like Alex Eubank, that he doesn't train hard enough in the gym. Bro taking catabolic steroids. Are you starting to get the point? Everyone has this vision, this illusion, this imagination that if they go to the gym and train hard, they're automatically going to have a night and day before and after transformation. But for many people, probably 25% of the population, this is exactly what you should expect if you go to the gym. The gym is filled with guys that look far worse than this. I would bet at any given moment, if he went to any gym that I train to, he would have an above average looking physique. After all, he trained for 7-8 years. Think of it. In the before, he was very skinny. After all that training, he did put on some muscle. Not as much as you wish you could put on, but he did put on some. And so when you go to the gym and you take everyone's shirt off, the majority of those people they're going to be overweight. Some, of course, are going to have more muscle. But what you may not consider is this. The gym filters out people that don't have great physiques. For the most part, people like doing things they're good at. And so if you go to the gym and you're very skinny, you train for a year and you don't put on hardly any muscle, likelihood of you continuing very, very small. The people with the best genetics, the guys who easily put on muscle, they go to the gym and they start putting on a muscle. They get addicted to it. It's fun. The dopamine release, it's strong. And so that's why when you go to the gym, you see a lot of guys with above average physiques. The gym is biasing or influencing the sample size to have people with above average or elite level physiques. And so no matter what you do, as the years go by, the people who've been doing it for 7 or 8, 9, 10 years and so on, they are people who love it. And oftentimes people who love it because they're good at it. And when you're good at it, it's usually because you have great genetics for the sport. However much you are eating, double it, then double it again, feed your growth. And so let's assume he's not eating a lot, 2,000 calories a day. Double that, that's 4,000, double that again, 8,000 calories. And so what you're telling him is you want him to compete as a fat sumo wrestler. That is literally what will happen. If you double your calories and you're already a little bit overweight, you're just going to get fat. Double it. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, at least say something like, are you sure you're getting enough protein? Of which I'm sure that he is. But when you say to double your calories, if he was walking around at 6% body fat and was saying, hey, I'm having a hard time putting on muscle, and he had a shredded six-pack with veins, and you said double your calories, I would get it. It'd mean eat more. But unless you're at single-digit body fat, if you're at 15% body fat or higher, you are eating enough. I looked better than this in 3 months. Yeah. Some people just have better genetics. Went over that. But just because he looks better than him at 3 months doesn't mean that he's training wrong. It'd be like asking someone, how long have you been practicing Spanish? And they say a year. And you say, speak to me in Spanish. And you notice that you're better than them. And you say, hey, I've only been practicing for 3 months. Yeah. What if you're a genius? You literally have a photographic memory. In 3 months, you look at the words and you know almost everything. Somebody else has a learning disability. They are a special needs individual and they only know 100 words in a year. Well, for them, that's amazing. They kept trying their best. For you, you learn 100 words a day. You're a genius. Does that not put things into perspective? One cycle won't hurt 7,000 likes. And so this is the mindset of people today. Well, if you can't put on muscle, just take one cycle. It won't hurt. That's what you're being bombarded on the internet. Oh, take Tren. The only side effects of taking Tren are gaining size. Well, you're forgetting about the acne, the high blood pressure, the kidney and liver problems, the gynecomastia, perhaps losing your hair, acne, and so on. Oh, but one cycle won't hurt. No, it could never suppress your own body's production of testosterone. And then when you get off that cycle, you lose most of your gains. Who would ever want that? Y'all literally need to just bench, deadlift, squat. That's literally all you need to do. Throw in a few curls or whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that sentence. This guy just thinks as long as you squat, bench, and deadlift and do some bicep curls, you're going to have an amazing physique. This is ridiculous. What is wrong with doing a crossover set? He might literally be watching Mike Isertel, Eric Janicki, Jeff Nippert, learning everything that you should be doing in the gym. There's nothing wrong with doing a capable crossover set, and trust me, if you had Chris Bumstead's genetics or look like Chris Bumstead and we're doing a cable crossover set, would you really be writing in the comments section, why are you doing cable crossovers, Chris Bumstead? What's wrong with you? You clearly don't know what you're doing. Because he has below average genetics, that's why you're making fun of him. I promise it's because you train and eat wrong, my dude. I promise it's not. Imagine thinking that everyone, if they just happen to train correctly, that they'll have a Greek god physique. Remember, this guy wanted to look like David Lade. You really think that if he just trained properly and ate properly, that would be his results? Is this a humiliation fetish page or something? Now, luckily, this guy has a lot of confidence. He pokes fun at him. He says, hey, look at my physique after being sauced to the gills. I'm on steroids. He's joking. But he pokes fun of himself. And why? Well, probably to diffuse so many of the negative comments. Think of it. Imagine this guy actually had poor self-esteem. He doesn't like his body. Perhaps he has body dysmorphia. And you go to cyberbullying on the internet. It reminds me of my own former friends. Somebody that they don't like because they're more attractive than them, more accomplished than them. They resort to poking fun of them. Oh, you're a 10 on the internet, but you're a cold 3 in real life. Oh, ha, ha, ha. You really think that's funny to go to the internet and make fun of somebody when you in fact don't look any better? It's bad enough to make fun of somebody for something, but when you do the exact same thing, how dare you? And so he's flexing, and in this kind of condition, he would likely get last place in men's physique. However, I've seen many people compete on the stage looking far worse than this. He does have biceps, he does have muscle, he does have wider shoulders. And so if he went on a cut, for example, 12-week diet, he could in fact compete. He is natural. He probably would compete in a drug-tested federation, and he probably wouldn't do all that bad. And so just because he doesn't look like Alex Eubank or Jesse James does not mean he can't compete in a competition. 16 years old natural, 23 years old sauce to the gills. Remember, it's satire. But it is in fact possible to take steroids and not have this much muscle. There are people out there with horrible genetics. They wish they could put on muscle. They train as hard as they can, but the cards were just not in it for them. To the same extent, there are some people out there that could never be doctors. They could study their ass off for 10 years and likely never pass a grade 12 math test. You know this to be true. We all have different genetics for the mind, for the body, for everything. No matter how hard I try, I can never stretch my neck to be 5'9". I try. I'd love to be 5'9", but I can't do it. Other people, they study their ass off. They can't get the highest average in university the way I did. They want to. They study hard. And so imagine the teacher saying, you only got a 55? What's wrong with you? You probably studied all wrong. Because this individual, she only studied 3 hours, she got 100. You studied 10 hours and you only got 55? You ever think that that person was smarter? That they just had it in the cards? They were better at it because they were better from birth. But no, you didn't get 100, so you studied all wrong. You didn't pay attention in class. Really? So when you barrage a person, belittle them with comment after comment, making fun of them because they don't have elite level genetics, and you say they trained everything and did everything wrong, what do you think that has as an impact on that young mind? They are going to be even more tempted than ever before to use steroids or to just cover up. I'm never taking off my shirt. I'm never going to go to the gym. People will tease me. If I go on the cable crossover machine and I don't have pecs like Coach Greg, they're just going to poke fun at me. They won't even dare. They won't even try. They won't even bother going to the gym. And why? All because you decided to write your shit comments making fun of people on social media. reached my genetic limit after 7 years. And so clearly the guy's satire, he's poking fun at him. He knows he doesn't have an amazing physique, but he loves to train in the gym. If you have a physique like this, don't think you're doing something wrong. Please believe in yourself. And remember, if you're in your 20s, you've been training for a while and you want to increase your gains, you can of course use Harder Than Last Time supplements. We have Turk Builder with actual turkesterone. Unlike most companies, they don't actually have it. Remember, we have the quality testing, mass spectrometer to prove it. We have G-Test. We also have Hungrier Than Last Time to make you hungrier than last time. So many products, don't have enough time to describe them. Code Greg, 15% off. Click the link in the description. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it and watch those 2 bloops. And if you're trying to lose weight for the rest of your life, we have the Circle Diet Book and the Cookbook 3.1 hard copy PDF. You can get them there. Get over to my website and get that free diet and training program. It's up to 50 pages in length. Have several of them depending on your needs. Join the 3,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.